Yo, so we have Fallaway for you people, right? This is the brand new film from Kabir McNeely. He writes and directs, you know what I mean? The film is produced by Nicole Gutierrez and Kabir McNeely. It is co-produced by Jonathan Rolheiser, executive produced by Torin Allen, Inda Dillon, Nicole Lichtenstein, Kenneth McNeely. It is associate produced by Lemo Sekiguchi. And there is line production from Anthony Chippetta, along with Sean Nam serving as a consultant producer. Right, Jordan Black was behind the cinematography. Jill Bavar and Troy Davidson edit the piece. The casting, we had Daniel K. Lau. Production design, Matthew Brandon Rivera. Dorian Galindo and Jerry Swift are visual effects. Melissa Campos and Wilda Palanque are script supervisors. Trey Armstrong and Sarina R. Kumar are music consultants. Okay, so then we get to our cast, right? And as well as writing and directing, Kabir also is one of the leads. He plays Giovanni. Then there is Christian Punetes as Caden, Angus Leslie as Houston, who else do we have? I thought there was parents, but I don't see anyone. Okay. Anyway, David Ojakin is Leonardo. Eric Elgin is Brad. Right, Matthew Stefan Hooper is Michael. Cabe Thompson is Aubrey. Right, Angus Leslie is Houston. We have Lisa Burton Guerra as Lucia. Carlos Guerra is Diego. Kai Woodley is Tyler. Marcus Vanderken is Alejandro. Charlotte is played by Yukti Singh. Gabriel, played by Xavier Bayer. Chantel Shaw is the worship leader. I think that's the young lady who sings as well. Liam is played by Jeff Carbonell. We have Betty, voiced by Sviva. Sven is played by Quinn Carroll. Sven's voice is from Neo Anderson Teeds. Our police officer is played by Tessia Bell. The prosper evangelist is played by Kenneth McNeely. Tiana Radford is Hippolyta. Titania is played by Ellie Ramos. The fairy is played by Sal Lopez. Professor Flanagan is voiced by Han Medlow. Right. Yeah. And I think that is our main cast. Right. So, what is this all about? Well, two college freshmen caught in a controlling church struggle between faith, family, and who they really are. Right? So, yeah, that is it. Now, this is Kabir's feature directorial debut. Right? So, it is always great to have a director's statement. So, this is Kabir's. Fallaway started with a conversation I had with a young man who previously identified as gay, but now considers himself straight after writing prayer journals. This sparked a desire to explore his perspective through a fictionalized account of the psychological and emotional complexities of such a transformation. My curiosity about the film's theme is noted in the film's protagonist, Caden, who is loosely based on me, while Giovanni is filtered through Caden's limited perspective. It was important to me that Giovanni never be reduced to a tragic gay teen archetype. Fallaway aims to explore his character in the hopes that a story like his can resonate with young people navigating their identities. The film deals with the interactions of faith, family, and identity. But at its core, it's a story about a deep connection Giovanni finds and his fight to keep it alive amidst his ongoing search to find himself. So yes, that, people, is the film, you know? And AJ always comes with interesting stuff, right? And this was interesting, you know? It's, as I say, it's Kabir's feature directorial debut. And, I mean, looking at directorial debuts, they're always different, right? Some are rough, right? But intriguing. You know, some are mad polished, and you think, this is their directorial debut? You know? We have so many different types, and here, this story, right? We've had similar stories, you know, but there is still an individuality to this, which is always good. You know, it's, yeah, because we start off, right, and we have kind of Giovanni narrating, and it's like he had someone who he loved, but that was all taken away, you know, and the last time they spent together was New Year's Eve, right? And it's kind of like now he's trying to navigate life on his own, but it's very, very difficult. So we have that. And then there's Caden, right? Who, you know, he's going to university and he's going to be on his own, right? He's no longer going to be at home. And so it's kind of him exploring who he is, right? The roommate he has automatically kind of suspects that he is gay, but closeted. And, he's denying it. But I think as time goes on, he does realize that, he is attracted, right? Connected, to someone. And I think it's trying to work through those emotions, those feelings, right? But with all of that, this church approach him. They've got recruiters on campus, as it were, and he doesn't know anyone, right? So at first he's like, well, going to the church, it's a quick way to make friends, right? But as he goes more, the indoctrination, is there. So he gets wrapped up in all of those kind of things. And we see the way they kind of, sink their claws in. Right? Now, this isn't necessarily an attack on religion. Right? It is more a microcosm of like this indoctrination that can happen, right? Where, the whole thing of pray the gay away, right? That being gay is a choice. And if you commit, right? If you give yourself to a higher cause, you don't have to succumb to these immoral urges, right? That's the kind of thing that we have here, right? And you wonder how many people at this church are gay, right? But are under the delusion that, if I go here, I'm not anymore. Which is a sad thing, you know what I mean? Like, hiding who you really are. Because some people aren't going to like it, but who cares? Right? Just find your crew, find your peoples, and be happy. You know what I mean? You don't have to get on with everyone. Everyone doesn't have to like and love you. Just as long as you have, your circle, it's all gravy. You feel me? But I think that's the thing, right? Giovanni and Caden don't have a circle. So the church is serving as that. And, in the film, we see like Giovanni try to do some different things. But if it goes against the doctrine of this church, then you cannot do it. Right? We see him be told to leave a place at one point in the film. Right? And that is the control. Right? When you think about abusive relationships, oftentimes, every time, essentially, the abuser will try and isolate, right, the victim. They will be like, if you loved me, you wouldn't keep on going to your parents, or your friends don't really like you, they're using you, and it's just all of this stuff. So the person stops, right? The person cuts all of these people off. And that is mentioned, right? About cutting off associates, right? Parts of your, as they would call it, your old life, right? And so we have all of that happening. And yeah, it's this look at how this can all unfold and the impact it has on people. You know what I mean? The aftermath of these actions and words and everything like that, and then the wake it leaves, right? Because these things, though maybe aimed at one person, there is a ripple effect sometimes on other people. So we see all of this. Now, the script isn't perfect, right? Sometimes there are things that maybe could be a little bit clearer, right? Like, I think with Caden, the time he spent is at the church, right? Because we have him joining. And then all of a sudden, we see this next step. But there is not necessarily a sense of that time, going by, as it were. So there are things like that, which, could have, done with a little bit of clarity. It doesn't necessarily affect the film greatly, right? But it's just these little things with storytelling. Now, so there are those kind of aspects, but what the film does very well is invoke emotion. Right? There is this very clear and strong emotional pull, right, from the interactions, from everything that we see, right? The gaslighting, the sadness, the fear, right? The hope. It's all very palpable, right? And I think Kabir has done a very good job of infusing everything with that, because it is very strong. And all of that does mean the film has a resonance, right? It does leave like its shadow on you. You know what I mean? When it's ended, you are thinking about how everything has gone down, right? The aftermath of it all, as it were. And that is, for something like this, that's definitely something that is needed, right? Because you can't walk away from a film like this and be like, meh. You know what I mean? Like, for it to work, right, there needs to be some sort of emotional leverage, right? This emotional impact and weight from the story, and that is definitely there, right? A lot of the scenes, you buy the friendships, right? You buy the interactions and the excitement, right? And that is, even if the dialogue might not fully work, the body language, right? The facial expressions, the mannerisms, all of those things have that second level of attachment to them, right? So it still breathes, it still lives, it still invokes. And yeah, that works very well, right? And it helps layer the film with a soul and spirit. You know what I mean? So that's very good, right? That's very good. And there is this, as I said, this sense at the end of, whew, you know, this kind of shockwave from this story, right? It you know, it does hit you. And not everyone can do that. You know what I mean? Not everyone can do that. So I think there is plenty here for us to be interested to see what Kabir does next. You know? Like, what will his, you know, next lot of writing be like? His next directorial effort be like? You know what I mean? You are very much interested, you know? Now, the other cast, you know, they do a good job because although Giovanni is a pivotal character in the film, he's not always on screen, right? But it's the echo of the character that bleeds through, right? So the rest of our cast, you know, it's how they are interacting with that, right? So they're carrying a lot of this film, right? And they do a very good job. You know, Caden, who is played by Christian Puntes, right, does a really good job of that, right? Because there is a naivety to Caden, right? Like a deer in the headlights type of thing. You know what I mean? Because he just goes along with a lot of this stuff. Like when, you know, he thinks, oh, you know, if anything else, the church, I'll be able to make friends there, right? And not really seeing what they are doing, right? So yeah, Christian does a very good job, and the rest of our cast do as well. So you know, Fallaway, it is, as I said, it's not perfect, but it does carry an emotional weight to it. So if those are the kind of stories that you enjoy, then yeah, people, you want to check out Fallaway, right? We will have all the links on the website. The film is out now on all your favorite VODs, right? It is literally just dropped. So yeah, go to the website and you will be able to, find, a platform that you enjoy, interacting with to watch the film. Well, actually, no, I am wrong. It's not out, but it is doing its festival run. Yes. Well, anyway, look, we will have all the links on the website, so you will be able to find the film, whether it's it's in cinemas, but it's a limited release, right? So you'll be able to find the locations where it's screening and other festivals where it might be screening, right? All of that is there. So, people, there you go. That is our look at this new film, Fallaway.